Okay, good morning. Hello, everybody. How we all doing? Greetings. And that should be everybody, I think. I hope I got YouTube up at the same time. I actually did it in advance today. Ooh. Fancy, I know. Doing it all on the fly. Yep. Well, welcome to another week. Hello. Let me get my chats up here. As soon as Rumble actually pops up, there it is. As soon as Rumble actually pops up, there. Okay. Pop out the chat. There we go. All right. Well, let's get going here. Let me share my screen. And we'll get cooking with gas. There we are. Okay. Stop. Oh yeah, Grok build is continuing to do buildy things. It's building stuff. Let's see. So I guess I was wrong about the price. Or no. I was right. It was like it's $300 normally. But after people complained and said like, "Hey, that's fucking outrageous. I want to try your stuff, but like $300 a month just to try a beta product that isn't even close to being production ready." Nope. So after some complaining, Musk, I guess, dropped the price to $100 a month, which for me is still too expensive to try a product that isn't even production ready. Not gonna pay that. Sorry, Elon. I would like to. I would really love to try your product. Like, don't get me, like, seriously, I would really like to, because up until this point, I've been stuck using Anthropic and ChatGPT, and some open source stuff too. But mostly Anthropic and ChatGPT or OpenAI. And between the three, I'd much rather go with X, I suppose. Although I have my misgivings about Elon too, here and there. Yeah, I'd much rather be using Grok. But I can't, because A, it's not production ready. It's still very much a beta product. It's looking good. Here it is, simulating airflow over a wing. Not bad. Doing lift and drag. It's not too bad. So I guess it does. The one thing it does do, which the others don't, is it'll let you generate photo and video directly from command line, which is really nice. I would love that. In fact, $100 is almost worth it for that. At least it would be if I actually had a decent amount of use for video and photo. But I mean, for people that do, it's almost worth it. Show me some more Grok build stuff. I'm gonna see what else this thing can do. I have a video I recorded in desktop. I want you to remove from that video minute 601 to 620. I want you to speed up the video 5 times while letting it maintain the FPS needs of Twitter. Rather janky instructions there. Does it do it? Yeah. Yeah. Not bad. Well, maybe not. Oh yeah, it searched, it searched Twitter upload requirements and then conformed to those. Pretty cool. All kinds of wild stuff you can do with this. Nuts. I was, of course, continuing to play with it over the weekend, and just blows my mind every day. I'm currently building a system of automated code reviewers that go out and whenever I write a piece of code and submit it, they will like a whole team of them, four of them, each specializing in something different, will come in and review all the code. You know, write up a report, send it on to a leader who then reviews everything that they've written, looks for any gaps that they may have missed, confirms that what they have found is actually viable and, you know, actual real bugs, and then sees if they missed anything, and then takes that and sends it back to the coding agent, who then implements any of the fixes that it recommends, all automatically. Oh, and then on top of that, there's a memory system I built too. So the code review team has a memory system, so they're basically self-learning and can you know, anytime they see a problem that's repeated over and over, or a false positive that shows up over and over, they can learn about it, note it down in their memory, and in the future when they encounter the problem again, it's, you know, they know what to do. It's crazy what you can build, man. Just I did all that in, I don't know, like 12 hours yesterday.
Agent. What if I told you Elon Musk just dropped a new AI coding tool that runs multiple AI agents in parallel? And most people have no idea it even exists yet.
Yeah, I hear it does have a rather unique design as far as how it distributes agents and stuff, which is interesting. I'm sure most of you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, so I'll move on. But if you haven't had a chance to play with these tools yet, man, it's, once you do, it'll blow your freaking mind. It is nuts. Whether for coding or just normal stuff too. Don't even have to code. Just, it can use your computer for you. Just tell it to write up a document in what do you call it? A presentation in PowerPoint. Bang. Research it for you. Assemble it. Design it. Create it. Output it. Okay, let's see what we got in the way of the news here this morning. Oh yeah, Todd Blanchie.
We're finding out some incredibly troubling things, and at some point at the right time, that will be made public, and the American people will see.
This is in reference to presumably the 2020 election. Yeah.
exactly what happened to this administration and President Trump over the past decade.
Well, I mean, the country was ripped apart. We all know that. Half of the country said he colluded with Russia. The other half said, no, it didn't. I mean, it ripped the country apart. But you say when the time is right. When is the time right? When should we expect these charges of conspiracy?
When?
Well, I mean, look, as has been publicly reported, the Southern District of Florida has an open criminal investigation that involves hundreds of subpoenas. It involves hundreds of witnesses. And so as far as timing and when we can expect it, we are working hard and we are working efficiently, but we are going to do it right. We are not going to rush something that isn't ready. We're not going to reach a conclusion before our investigation is over. But I assure you, and I assure the American people, that we are completely focused on it.
Okay, well, I don't know what is not ready. I mean, we've been watching this play out for a long time, and viewers and people watching are frustrated because it just keeps happening. Weaponization keeps happening because it's not corrected the time before. Now,
cut off. Oh well. There you go. There's good news, isn't it? It's coming. Slowly but surely, it is bubbling up from South Florida.
Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh.
When it comes to Comey, Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. You were the director of the
Did he for real just quote Spider-Man? Hey, I'll take it.
FBI, the lead investigator in the country. If you don't know what 8647 is, you should have the mind that works like, I wonder what that is. Let me see what that is. You should have an inquisitive mind.
Nah, I'll just post it on my Instagram without, having any clue what it means.
Your entire career was predicated on figuring out puzzles. That's who you are. But you don't know what that means? I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, if he had come out and said, hey, you know what? I meant that very benign, but it could be taken the wrong way, or it could be taken to the extreme, and I know that, and I shouldn't have posted it, then it would be a nothing burger at this point. The fact that he tries to...
Honestly, that probably would have been the way for him to handle it. Should have been. If he were smart, he probably wouldn't be where he is right now. At least when it comes to that matter. He's got plenty of other coals in the fire to worry about, don't get me wrong, but at least on this one, it would have just just popped. The bubble would have popped and no one would have given a shit anymore. If he would have just said that.
And I use this saying all the time because Democrats spit in my face and tell me it's raining. To tell me, oh, I didn't know what that meant. That's enough that I just sit here like, well, get him, burn him. Because if you're going to lie to me that blatantly, what else have you lied to me about? Look
Bingo.
Uncover all the stones.
Every damn thing.
I mean, no one has done more inexplicable things in the public eye than James Comey to begin with.
Yeah, just about.
Something like this and then to pretend like I'm so dumb that I'll believe that he didn't know what that meant. There's just no.
Indeedy. Okay, what is this business? Tell us you goodbye 12 hours ago. Oh, it's just like 1776 stuff. Let's hear it.
250 years ago today, on May 17, 1776, the Second Continental Congress called for a day of humility, fasting, and prayer. Just weeks before they declared independence, our founders didn't stride forward in pride. They knelt. They asked for God's mercy. They asked for his guidance because they knew that the cause before them was beyond their own strength. Now today, exactly 250 years later, we gather here on the National Mall to do the same, to give thanks, to ask for forgiveness, and to humbly ask once more for God's mercy and guidance as we enter the next 250 years of this republic. Now, our founders knew their time was short. They knew that the road ahead was uncertain. The foundation of our independence is our dependence upon the Supreme Soul, who's the supreme controller. Now, all of us and all of our leaders need to get on our knees and prostrate ourselves before the Supreme Lord, acknowledging that we are totally dependent upon him for our success, indeed, for our survival.
What religion does she subscribe to again?
Too often, leaders in this world have our eyes covered by pride.
Isn't it something what is it again? Oh, shoot. Oh, gosh. It's something weird, isn't it?
Born out of our relative power, fame, or authority. We lose sight of the fact that we are tiny and our time on this planet is extremely short. And yet we see ourselves as the controllers competing with each other over who is number one. But the truth is, there's only one number one, and that's God. Our leaders 250 years ago knew this. They knew that we could not rely on our own strength, our own fame, our own power, our own intelligence, but we're completely dependent upon God's favor. And so they humbly approached that day of fasting 250 years ago, asking God for his protection, his guidance, his mercy. We are at this time totally dependent upon God to light our path so that we can successfully navigate the troubled waters that we are in into a future where our children and their children and generations for hundreds and thousands of years can live in peace, freedom, and prosperity. So on this day, let us humble ourselves before God. Let us beg for his mercy and guidance. Let us be willing to forgive those who've offended us as we ask God to forgive us for our trespasses. And let us all today, in the privacy of our own homes and hearts, take shelter in God's love and remember him. Aloha.
Oops. Okay. Let me pop over to USB here. There we go. Okay. There we are. Oh, that's yesterday. There. That's this morning. Cool.
Said that we're going to find out that President Trump actually did win.
Oh, more from Blanchie.
She just said that we're going to find out that President Trump.
Let me pipe the bot down too. Come on now. There we go. Okay, he should be quiet now.
Actually did win certain states in the 2020 election. Now, the president says all the time that the election was rigged. What have you done about that? Do you have any evidence that the election was rigged? What can you tell us?
Well, there's a ton of evidence that the election was rigged. That's not something the DOJ needs to tell you about. There's been evidence about that for many, many years. What I can tell you is that we have multiple investigations going on in Arizona, in Georgia, in Fulton County, Georgia, and that's exactly what we're looking at. By the way, this is very difficult because they're very good. They're very good at hiding up misconduct and hiding what they're doing, and so that's why we're very focused on finding out whether the right people voted, whether people who who were supposed to vote voted, whether there was one vote cast per voter, and that's what we're doing in multiple states. And I expect, and again, people, you'll say to me, how long is it taking? Why is it taking so long? And the reality, the answer to that is because it takes a lot of work to uncover what happened in 2020. It takes a lot of old, good old-fashioned law enforcement police work, which is what we're doing, and we have great prosecutors working on it as well. And I expect that, and I assure you, I assure the American people that as soon as we have something to say for it, whether it's charges, whether it's a report, whether it's the results of an investigation, the American people will learn about what we've uncovered.
Yeah. So in other words, what you're
and at some point at the right time, that will be made public. We're finding out some incredibly troubling things, and at some point at the right time, that will be made public, and the American people will see exactly what happened to this administration and President Trump over the past decade.
well, I mean, the country was ripped apart. We all know that. Half of the
We saw that part.
to it, and so the Russia hoax, there was absolutely nothing to it. And so the question that the American people have to ask is, well, then why did they do it? Why did Comey say what he said? Why did the outgoing Obama administration do what they did? And that's what we're studying right now, because it did great damage to this country. It did great damage to President Trump's first term. And we want to understand why that happened, why there continued to be an effort by operatives in the government to go after President Trump while he was in office, and then, of course, over the past several years as well. Evidence that the election was rigged. That's not something the DOJ needs to tell you about. There's been evidence about that for many, many years. What I can tell you is that we have multiple investigations going on in Arizona, in Georgia, in Fulton County, Georgia, and that's exactly what we're looking at. By the way, this is very difficult because they're very good. They're very good at hiding up misconduct and hiding what they're doing, and so that's why we're very focused on finding out whether the right people voted, whether people who were supposed to vote voted, whether there was one vote cast per voter, and that's what we're doing in multiple states. And I expect, and again, people, you'll say to me, how long is it taking? Why is it taking so long? And the reality, the answer to that is because it takes a lot of work to uncover what happened in 2020. It takes a lot of old, good old-fashioned law enforcement police work, which is what we're doing, and we have great prosecutors working on it as well. And I expect that, and I assure you, I assure the American people that as soon as we have something to say for it, whether it's charges, whether it's a report, whether it's the results of an investigation, the American people will learn about what we uncovered.
yeah.
Ton of
It'll be charges. Oh yeah. All right, we got the Rededicate 250 this week here. I don't know if this is from this year, from a different year, or I don't know. Wow, cool. Very nice. Rubio dropping a quick message. Let's see.
On this day, 2.5 centuries ago, our forefathers gathered for the second time in as many years for a national day of fasting and prayer. The resolution of the Continental Congress called on the 13 colonies to humble themselves in preparation for the coming war. The founders were not naive men. They had no guarantees of victory. They knew that what they were trying to do had never been done before in human history. But with the dark storm clouds of war looming on the horizon, they did what Christians have always done, across place and time for 2,000 years. They turned their eyes to heaven and placed their faith in the hands of God. This is who we are. It is who we have always been. America is still a young nation measured against the record of history. And from the beginning, we have carried the belief that our country represents something new in the world. but the soul of our nation has always been rooted in an ancient faith.
Kneeling in the deep snow, his hat.
Must be Hexas version.
One hangs in my office. Kneeling in the deep snow, his hat and sword nearby. Washington bows his head. Amid all the bleak nights, the loss and despair, the lack of proper support, George Washington performed a profound act. He prayed. And on this day of Rededicate 250, let us follow George Washington's example. Let us pray as he did. Let us pray without ceasing. Let us pray for our nation on bended knee. And let us ask our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, as Washington did on that momentous day, so help us God. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless our great republic.
And now Trump.
Of the Lord and the king's house, and all that came into Solomon's heart to make in the house of the Lord, and in his own house he prosperously effected. And the Lord appeared to Solomon by night and said to him, I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place for myself for a house of sacrifice. If I shut up heaven, that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Now my eyes shall be open and my ears attent to the prayer that is made in this place. For now I have chosen and sanctified this house, that my name may be there forever, and my eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually. And as for you, if you will walk before me as David your father walked, and do according to all that I have commanded you, and shall observe my statutes and my judgments, then will I establish the throne of my kingdom according to as I have covenanted with David your father, saying there shall not fail
David your father
you as a man to be ruler in Israel. But if you turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments, which I have set before you, and shall go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I pluck them up from the roots out of my land which I have given them, and this house which I have sanctified for my name will I cast out of my sight, and will make it to be a proverb and a byword among nations. And this house which is high shall be an astonishment to every one that passes by it, so that he shall say, why has the Lord done thus to this land and to this house? And it shall be answered, because they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, and laid hold on other gods, and worshipped them and served them. Therefore has he brought all this evil upon them.
Boy, that was an interesting one, wasn't it? Bit unlike the others so far. That one was different. Here's JD Vance.
Declared in 1789 that
I'm assuming this must be like... Okay, no, this is yesterday. This is on Sunday, okay.
it is the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence of Almighty God, to obey his will, to be grateful for his benefits, and humbly to implore his protection and favor. These were the opening lines of America's first ever Thanksgiving proclamation. But whatever milestone it represented in the brief life of our young republic, the duty Washington described to honor, obey, and give thanks to our Creator was woven into America's character long before the founding. A keen awareness of that duty has stretched all the way back from William Bradford's own Pilgrim Proclamation in 1623 to the opening prayer of our First Continental Congress, to Lincoln's call for national thanksgiving in the midst of the Civil War, to this very gathering today. We have always been and still are a nation of prayer, and thank God for that. In times of suffering and in times of triumph, millions of Americans continue to turn to prayer and their faith in God. John Adams famously said that our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. It was obvious to the founders that our faith was the ground upon which America stands. It was our very foundation as a people. And if this foundation were to crumble, so too would the very values that make us Americans. From our religious inheritance comes many of the virtues and institutions we most cherish as a people. Our system of justice, our generosity to neighbors, our respect for conscience, and the moral discipline necessary for liberty itself. As my dear friend, the late great Charlie Kirk put it, all law reflects a morality. Neither law nor morality appears in a vacuum, but ultimately come from religion. And the morality and religion that formed the American consciousness were decidedly Christian, founded upon the principles and the divinity of Jesus Christ. In 1783, Washington also proclaimed that imitation of divine charity is necessary for the mutual affection of our citizenry and the happiness of our nation. If we do not see that God loves us, we have little reason and little inspiration to love one another. This love, which forms our morality, is the foundation of a peaceful and healthful society. That's why it's so encouraging to see a renewed sense of faith emerging among America's young people. Defying predictions, the experts said that religion and faith were dying. Today, a wave of young Americans is returning to the pews. And we know that they're looking for meaning, for authority, for direction, and of course, for closeness with God. That should give all of us hope for our future together as Americans. It certainly gives me hope as your vice president.
Okay. Oh yeah, Amy Box talking, the Minnesota fraud lady, feeding our future hag. Yep, she's talking to the news. She's talking to the news people. She says that Tim Walz and Keith Ellison had to have known, must have known, did know what was going on.
Declared in.
Come on now. Where's my... Give me my sound. Oh, and Ilhan Omar, too, by the way.
Fox's alert, Ilhan Omar missed Tuesday's deadline for Minnesota Republicans to turn over documents in the Minnesota Feeding Our Futures fraud scandal. Democrats blocked an effort to subpoena the congresswoman, all as we learn that Omar's name came up 6 times in the case against Amy Bach, the founder of Feeding Our Future. Now, Bach spearheaded the scheme, which stole federal funds intended for children and was convicted of wire fraud, conspiracy, and bribery. Ilhan Omar's name first came up in an email chain with Bach back in February 2021. The subject line read, "Help with USDA food program," in a message to Omar's office. Now, about 2 weeks later, Bach emailed Omar's office with the subject line, "FNS approves Minnesota school PEBT plan." Then 1 day later, Bach exchanged messages with this Feeding Our Future employee who fled the country after he was indicted in 2022. The subject line of their emails was Ilhan's office. And the emails kept flowing after that. In March, Bach emailed Omar's office again about the state's school food program. There were also text messages between Bach and Omar's office, which was uncovered during a raid of Bach's Minnesota house. Now, while we know Omar's office was communicating with a now convicted fraudster, we don't know the contents of those messages or if Omar herself engaged in any wrongdoing. In a jailhouse interview with Fox, this is how Bach described those conversations.
Did you have any conversations with Ilhan Omar that make you kind of think twice now?
I've never actually spoken to her. I had spoken to members of her office. It was always really general, mostly pertaining to how the Department of Education was handling applications and the approval or denial of those. There was nothing of any substance pertaining to claims or meal counts or fraud or anything like that.
But Omar's ties to Feeding Our Future don't start and end with Amy Bach. She also had close ties with one of the restaurants convicted of stealing $16 million, Safari Restaurant. Back in 2018, she celebrated her primary win at the very spot. And records show she spent nearly $10,000 in campaign funds there between 2018 and 2020. It's over $3,000 a year. The food must be so great to spend that much at a restaurant. And check this out. We unearthed this 2020 video of Ilhan Omar on Somali TV working inside Safari Restaurant. And while she speaks exclusively in Somalian, we were able to make out these words: Pandemic, Meals Act, and Safari Restaurant. The chair of the Minnesota Fraud Committee also revealing Ilhan Omar received donations from several Feeding Our Future defendants. And that last name on the list right there, that's a former staffer for Omar who pled guilty to fraud. Here to react, Minnesota whistleblower David.
Iran, the clock is ticking.
Trump surging to the Situation Room for potential Iran strikes. This is yesterday, so.
Quote, for Iran, the clock is ticking, and they'd better get moving fast, or there won't be anything left of them. Time is of the essence. Earlier today, the president spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the phone. Iran at the center of that call. Reports say the U.S. and Israel are preparing for possible strikes as a peace deal prospect stalls. Good afternoon, I'm Rich Edson in Washington, and this is Fox News Live. The Navy is keeping up its pressure campaign against Iran in the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM says U.S. forces have now redirected 81 commercial vessels and disabled 4 more in its blockade. There are big questions around what happens next in the conflict. Senator Lindsey Graham has a suggestion.
I think we hit a wall on deal making. I would encourage the president look at reducing Iran's military capability even further. They've been dramatically weakened, but they're still targets that could weaken them more militarily. And I would also keep the embargo on to weaken their economy. Right now, I think they're trying to wait us out. I think they're playing games. And in the words of the president, I think they're crazy. I think he's right.
Now, the president just got back from his trip to China, which he called a great success. We have Fox team coverage of it all. Alex Holding is standing by at the White House. But first, Fox business correspondent Ashley Webster is reporting live from Tel Aviv with the latest there. Ashley?
Yeah, good evening to you, Rich. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu talking with President Trump earlier today for about 30 minutes. We don't have all the details, but as you pointed out, the president posting on Truth Social that the clock is ticking and the time is of the essence. It's the same line of statements that we've heard for a number of weeks now. Benjamin Netanyahu calling a meeting of the security cabinet, his security cabinet, but that was ordered before he spoke with President Trump, so clearly trying to get a sense of where do they go next, and that is the big question. We do have reports that say the U.S. and Israel are undergoing the most intense preparations for these renewed attacks against Iran since the ceasefire was agreed last month. But Iran's foreign minister...
Okay. In a bid to terrify President Trump, Iran has just released a video showcasing their people receiving defense training inside mosques. What, in Iran?
Has been showing video today of government supporters, some receiving
Oh no.
defense trading inside of mosques, weapons and all, and wondering.
Oh no. I'm sure that wasn't happening before.
A more direct message for Donald Trump. Listen to this.
Trump, you cannot take this.
Trump, you cannot take this shitty bolt-action rifle from me.
Strait of Hormuz from Iran. I have come to destroy you.
With this shitty bolt-action rifle that looks like it doesn't even work.
So with the Straits
Be very, very afraid.
still blocked to shipping, authorities in Abu Dhabi
It's only 100 years old.
say a drone attack caused a fire close to a nuclear power plant just west of the city. No injuries or major damage has been reported, but the UAE says the targeting of a nuclear power plant, whether it's by the principal perpetrator, as it says, or one of its proxies, has been showing video today of government supporters, some receiving defense trading inside of mosques, weapons and all, and one Iranian had a more direct message for Donald Trump. Listen to this.
Trump, you cannot take the Strait of Hormuz
Donald Trump, don't trust China. China is asshole.
from Iran. I have come to destroy you.
Oh well, it wasn't that.
So with the Strait
looked at from the top level.
Oh, Comey's making the rounds.
Not looked at from the top level. The people running it, if you're bragging about forcing out career prosecutors and agents because the president doesn't like a lawful investigation they conducted, something is seriously broken at the top. But I have great confidence in the people down below who are just trying to hang on. And I'm urging them, hang on 2.5 years, and then we can rebuild these institutions. But we need good people in those roles. America does.
All right.
Good people like you, Jim. Yeah.
Great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, we saw that guy. RNC Chair Joe Gruters announced 130 lawsuits across 32 states to block Democrats from cheating in elections. Oh.
Well, listen, the president, when he asked me to take this position, he said we got to make sure our elections are safe and secure. We have to continue to build on the success that Lord Trump and Michael Wiley built in the 2024 cycle. And yes, the Democrats are trying to cheat every single day. That's why we have to have 130 lawsuits. We're bringing the hammer wherever we can. 32 states where we have lawsuits because the Democrats are trying to cheat every single day. It doesn't matter if it's redistricting. It doesn't matter if what they've done is they've allowed tens of millions of illegals to come across our border, and they're trying to figure out ways to get them to vote. And that's why we're always after making sure we have integrity in the system, that we can have confidence in the democracy, and we're putting people in place. We already hired staff in 17 states, but we're going to continue our strong litigation effort to make sure we beat back these Democrats and their efforts that have been ongoing for decades in terms of trying to steal elections.
Indeed. Hakeem Jeffries, Timu Obama, panicked to find a way out of Republicans' 2026 redistricting wins, which they thought were going to be wins for them. Oh, sorry. Just kidding.
Well, Republicans have completely dominated this redistricting battle, picking up seats
all
over the country. Democrats thought they had the momentum, but after a few court rulings stopped their plans.
That's a boo-boo.
A spectacular meltdown.
The future control of the House is at stake right here. And we need to do everything we can to prevent a continuation of what is a complete rubber stamp for Donald Trump.
What we're seeing amounts to the biggest reversal of black political power.
That's what you're going to reduce this to?
Since the Voting Rights Act itself. It is wrong, it is unfair, and we never should have been here in the first place.
We're in this
Well, you got the second part right.
This battle right now, this race to the bottom, and we're going to fight fire with fire.
Now, the talking point.
Never should have been here in the first place. Yeah.
Points went out. Joining us for tonight's big close-up to respond to all that and more, RNC Chairman Joe Gruters. Chairman, it's great to have you. You know, the Democrats are really melting down right now because I guess they poked the bear and the bear poked back in this redistricting battle. It certainly wasn't on my bingo card that we would have this much fun with maps going into the 2026 midterms, but here we are. Republicans, should we be re-energized and reinvigorated by the redistricting battle? Or what does it mean for the midterms? What does it mean for your work at the RNC?
Well, listen, we have a ton of momentum on our side in the last 2 weeks. A lot of it has shifted our way, and I'm very excited about the midterms. We have a chance to defy history because of exactly what's happened. We've had a plan in place. We've been executing that plan every single day, and we're confident in what we have to do to make sure that we return majorities in both the House and the Senate for the president to make sure he can serve a full 4 years.
You know, when it comes to
Okay, Democratic Party members gathering in Alabama, planning a summer of action to protest redistricting efforts.
Our generation.
Pathetic.
It's time to respond to the assaults.
You guys wanted to do it. You picked the fight, bitches.
See, we have seen this before, where some people in black robes try to deny or take away our rights.
Like, what, the Supreme Court? Really?
We are here because a white supremacist dictator. No.
Or did he mean people in white robes? Was he going for KKK? I don't know.
Does President Donald Trump thought he could silence
Oh, this frickin' guy.
They thought they could stop a movement. You can rig a map, but you can't
Charcoal Q-tip.
rig a movement.
It is a great injustice, and we're here collectively in righteous indignation. I have to just tell the truth. There are people.
Oh boy, and it's bald ass Ayanna Presley. Gross.
Hostile anti-black administration that would rather black Americans pick cotton.
Oh, please keep it up. You have no idea how tired America is of this shit. Please, Ms. Presley, keep going.
Then pick the president. Then pick their congressperson. Then pick a senator.
Yeah, it'll end well for you. Just keep it up.
From our own citizens going out.
President Trump's law enforcement team, led by this FBI, his favorite phrase, is conducting the most aggressive violent crimes against children takedown in the United States history, and we're not slowing down. All right, let's see.
Children around the world, and we owe it to them to protect them from our own citizens going out and harming them.
Operation Restore Justice was a 5-day sweeping bureau initiative to identify, track, and arrest child sex predators across the country.
You harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children.
And over 3.8 million pedophile accounts on the dark web were terminated.
Great song. Too bad he's such a deep-fried fucktard. What's his name? Tom York. Excellent artist. What's Radiohead. President Trump sends Iran a new warning. The clock is ticking.
The Middle East remains on edge, waiting to see if the war will resume in the days ahead. President Trump overnight on Truth Social posting a new warning for the regime, saying for Iran, the clock is ticking and they better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them. Time is of the essence. The president's post comes as reports indicate the Iranians have submitted a revised proposal to Pakistani mediators aimed at addressing some of the gaps in their previous response that President Trump described as a piece of garbage.
Therefore, from the very day after we sent our points to the American side via Pakistan, we were faced with a series of proposals from the other side, which have been reviewed over the past few days. As was announced yesterday, our own views have in turn been conveyed to the American side.
While diplomatic efforts play out, the economic situation in Iran is getting worse each day due to the ongoing U.S. blockade of Iranian ports. CENTCOM says more than 80 commercial vessels have been redirected and 4 were disabled to enforce the blockade. A senior Israeli official told Fox News that early signs are developing of a fuel crisis in Iran, with long lines at gas stations being observed. It's getting exponentially worse, that official added.
The economic situation is very, very bad. I mean, for 3 months now, the situation has completely deteriorated. Ever since these protests happened and the dollar price went up. Then, after the war started, the shop was basically closed for nearly a month. And now the situation is extremely bad.
The U.S. military buildup across the Middle East does continue, with more transport planes arriving in the region each day.
Okay. Oh.
George, good morning to you. And sources say that this deal is now being finalized, setting the stage for an extraordinary use of taxpayer money to benefit the president's allies. This morning, sources say the president is one step closer to creating a new $1.7 billion fund of taxpayer money to pay his allies. ABC News learning the president is expected to settle a $10 billion lawsuit he brought against his own government as early as today. Sources say as part of the deal, the president would drop the suit in exchange for a commission to pay Trump allies who claim they were mistreated by the Biden administration. One group that could benefit from that, the rioters who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. The president sued the IRS earlier this year, claiming damages from the leak of his tax returns in 2019. He has also sued his own Justice Department for $230 million for investigations he faced during the Biden administration. An American president has never sued his own administration, something the president acknowledged last fall.
It's interesting because I'm the one that makes a decision, right? And, that decision would have to go across my desk.
Sources say the president would have control over who runs the commission and the authority to remove members without cause, and that the commission would not be required to disclose to the American people how it runs or its decision-making process. Most Republicans staying silent, but some moderates shocked.
I don't even know how that's allowable to happen.
Democrats calling it an abuse of power.
It's outright corruption. What we're seeing here is outright corruption.
Only Congress has the power to appropriate money, and Congress never voted on creating this $1.7 billion political slush fund at the Department of Justice, and Congress would never pass that.
So sources caution that the details of this plan are not finalized until publicly announced. In a statement, the president's legal team says that the president continues to hold those who wrong America accountable. The Justice Department declined to comment, George.
No question this will head to the courts. Okay, Rachel, thanks very much.
Again, this is taxpayer money. Taxpayer money.
Fucking people, man. Ay, ay, ay. Insufferable. Oh, I saw this. This was so crazy. The jet crash at an air show. Oh. Thankfully, I understand all crew members are okay. Only just, though. I mean, look at that. So many things could have gone wrong there. Well, more wrong. Could have landed in the fire. Could have gotten smacked by one of the jets. Very, very nearly did, it looked like, on their way out there. Right here. Whoa, may have, actually. This guy. on top. Oof, close. Can't tell. And after that, they come down right over top of that mess, like, wouldn't be me. Nope. Thankfully, it sounds like they're all okay. Terror plot foiled. Oh dear.
32-year-old Mohammed Al-Sadi
Oh yeah, this one.
is facing 6 counts of terrorism-related charges, and prosecutors say he was plotting attacks on Jewish targets in Arizona, Los Angeles, and New York, and that he worked with groups that were affiliated with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani posted this on X last week. I'm grateful to our NYPD and federal law enforcement partners for disrupting an alleged plot involving a senior member of Kataib Hezbollah. Let me be clear, anti-Semitism, violent extremism, and terrorism have no place in our city. This kind of hate is despicable. The Department of Justice showed a social media post allegedly from Al-Sadi there showing the U.S. Capitol in rubble. 32-year-old Mohammed Al-Sadi is facing 6 counts of terrorism-related charges, and prosecutors say he was plotting attacks on Jewish targets in Arizona, Los Angeles, and New York, and that he worked with groups that were affiliated with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani posted this on X last week. I'm grateful to our NYPD and federal law enforcement partners for disrupting.
Oh, I looped. Oh, House Oversight Committee to interview prison guard that was on duty when Epstein died. Good. Yes. Around 10 new suspected Epstein victims identified in French investigation. The French are actually doing something? Allegedly.
According to these threats and violent posts. Good morning, George. Well, as this war drags on, President Trump is falling back on a familiar playbook, again resorting to these threats and violent posts. But so far, President Trump's intimidation has failed to force Iran into a peace deal. This morning, 12 weeks into the war with Iran and with no resolution in sight, President Trump renewing his threats, warning Iran that the clock is ticking to make a deal, or there won't be anything left of them, and posting this AI-generated image of himself pressing a red button, touting Space Force with images of explosions around the globe, including a mushroom cloud over an unspecified target. Last week, Trump swiftly rejected Iran's response to a U.S. proposal meant to set the stage for peace talks. The president insisting Iran must give up its nuclear development and turn over its enriched uranium. And this morning, Iran says they've sent their response, saying they will not negotiate over their right to enrichment. All this as the fragile ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran is being tested. The UAE, a critical American ally, saying its sole nuclear power plant was hit by a drone strike, the country calling it an unprovoked terrorist attack. Iran has not taken responsibility, but the country did fire on the UAE earlier this month.
Ooh.
And this morning, so far,
naughty,
no
naughty.
response from here at the White House to this latest proposal from the Iranians. Michael.
All right.
U.S. on high alert. Cuba stockpiling 300+ military drones from Russia and Iran. Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
For a potential Cuban
All 300 of them, huh?
drone attack threat. Axios writing, quote, Cuba has acquired more than 300 military drones.
Wow.
And recently began discussing plans to use them to attack the U.S. base at Guantanamo Bay. U.S. military.
Oh, that'll go well. Yeah, please do that. Yep, sure. That'll go nice for you.
Military vessels in possibly Key West, but Cuba's foreign minister is denying the claims, writing, without any legitimate excuse whatsoever, the U.S. government builds day after day a fundamental case to justify the ruthless economic war against the Cuban people. Cuba neither threatens nor desires war. This comes as sources tell Fox that the U.S. is preparing to indict former Cuban leader Raul Castro. The CDC is escalating its response to the ongoing Ebola outbreak in the
Ebola. Okay, judge overseeing the case Luigi Mangione set to issue a critical ruling on what evidence and testimony prosecutors can use during his trial. Lots going to come down to that. Oh, you bet your ass they are. Class action lawsuit alleges Hisense Chinese TVs are spying on Americans. Oh yeah, absolutely. How do you think they're so cheap? Not just Hisense either. All of them. Basically. Every smart TV is spying on you in some sense. But these ones take screenshots of whatever is on your screen, like every few minutes or something like that, and then log down data from it, like probably assume using a really small machine learning or AI model that can kind of discern what's on the screen, like what you're watching and everything, and then logs that down and sends it somewhere. At least 10 shootings reported over the weekend in Texas. Oh, and that's true, by the way, whether you're watching TV or using it as like a computer monitor, like if you're playing video games on it, doesn't matter what you're doing, whatever's on your TV, and they're tracking it. All that weird porn you watch. Yeah. At least 10 shootings were reported over the weekend in Texas. Here we go.
Good morning, Michael. And this was a very alarming crime spree that sparked multiple shelter-in-place orders. Authorities in Austin say a group of teenagers with stolen weapons opened fire at more than 20 locations. They say this started late Saturday. It continued into Sunday afternoon, with the suspects opening fire seemingly at random. They were firing at homes, at apartment complexes, even at 2 Austin fire stations. In total, 4 people were shot. One of them is in critical condition now. Officials say the suspects stole at least 4 different vehicles as they were on the run. We know yesterday afternoon, police arrested a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old. Late yesterday, they detained a 3rd suspect who was also on the run, and we've learned that that suspect is 16 years old. The threat here caused one school to actually cancel class this morning as that suspect was on the run. There is now not believed to be any ongoing threat to the public. George?
Trevor All.
Good morning, Michael, and this was a very alarming crime.
Interesting. Okay.
Committed to buy at least $17 billion of US farm goods each year from 2026 to 2028. That's according to a fact sheet released by the White House on Sunday. It says the commitment was made during Donald Trump's visit to Beijing last week. The White House says the headline figure is on top of other pledges made by China last year. US agricultural exports to the country have dropped sharply following the tit-for-tat on tariffs in 2025. Official data show shipments dropped by around 2/3 to $8.4 billion over that year. And that follows existing moves by Beijing to reduce its reliance on US produce since Trump's first term. In 2024, it sourced roughly 20% of its soybeans from America, down from over 40% in 2016. Now the White House says China will work with US regulators to lift its suspension of beef imports and resume buying of poultry from states deemed free of avian influenza.
Look at the beefs. They're cute beefs.
I
want a pet beef.
Washington also confirmed that the 2 nations would set up new boards to oversee bilateral trade and investment. In a statement last week, Beijing said the boards would resolve concerns over market access and seek to expand trade on the basis of reciprocal tariff reductions.
60 plus MAGA allies tell Trump to vet AI before release. Who's saying this? And why? And how? What exactly? Tell me more. Okay. A group of more than 60 loyal allies of President Trump is urging him to test and approve the most powerful AI models before they're released. What do they mean by that? Oh, signed by Steve Bannon, yeah. And conservative anti-AI activists Amy Kramer and Brendan Steinhauser, whoever they are, puts a vocal faction of the MAGA base at odds with the White House's hands-off approach to AI. I gotta say, not on board with this. Nope. Prevailing view in the White House is the opposite, of course, that America will win the AI race by keeping regulation light and knocking down most state-level AI laws, which is what will hamstring us in the battle against China. Even administration officials who support testing and evaluating models have backed away from the idea that the government should approve them. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, the letter organized by Humans First, conservative group whose tagline is "Technology should serve humans, not replace them." Well, really kind of remains to be seen how that's going to even work. But the most powerful AI systems, which can now or soon will be able to assist in designing bioweapons, breaking into critical infrastructure, or manipulating financial markets, or, you know, guys, defending against all of that? Hello? Like, what do you think just because you write a letter and maybe get one government to regulate them, that what all the governments of the world are going to follow this? Because they're not. They're just going to keep right on doing it, designing bioweapons and breaking into critical infrastructure and manipulating financial markets, while we're sitting here waiting for regulations to pass and, you know, rubber stamps to get stamped before we can actually go do anything about any of that. It's ridiculous. This is stupid. In today's world, nope. Can't say I agree. Travel chaos impacting thousands of New Yorkers as the Long Island Railroad strike enters its third day and its first of the weekday.
Well, good morning. As you said, this morning the Long Island Railroad strike is entering day 3. This is an expansive system here that the Long Island Railroad has. It operates 24/7 across 126 stations for more than 700 miles. This strike this morning is causing major disruptions for about 300,000 New Yorkers.
Contract right now. If we don't get it, shut it down.
This morning,
what do they want?
The Long Island Railroad strike entering day 3, upending the start of the work week for nearly 300,000 commuters.
No one knows what to do.
How am I going to get back to the Bronx from Long Island?
How are you going to get to the Bronx from Long Island?
The LIW.
I don't know. Something tells me that there are probably other routes you could take.
RR has been shut down since early Saturday morning after months of contract talks between the MTA and a coalition.
Take a Uber, girl.
Of 5 unions collapsed,
Union power,
leading some 3,500 workers to walk off the job.
I value your labor, and I believe that you deserve fair wages and benefits. But also, New Yorkers deserve better.
Our last offer literally gave the unions everything they said they had wanted in terms of pay, but they rejected even that.
The two sides remain at odds over pay raises, reportedly between 4.5 and 5%, as well as healthcare costs.
We want to be out running the trains.
We're just looking for an agreement that ensures our members' standard of living.
Talks between the MTA and union leaders are set to resume this morning. Hopefully, they can make a deal, Robin.
Hopefully that will be the case. All right. Steph.
Okay. Un momento, por favor. What is all this business? Oh my goodness. Memory. False positives. Interesting. That did not do everything I wanted it to do. All right. Sorry. Let's keep going. Former Defense Secretary Robert Gates said the firing of Pentagon leaders and removal of the full Pentagon press corps concerns him.
You were CIA director. You
Concern
were
troll over here.
a defense secretary. How do you assess Secretary Hegseth's performance?
I'm not into talking about my successors, but I will say.
But I will.
I want to.
But I'm just going to do it anyway.
Something positive that I think is going on. That goes back to something we were talking about earlier. I think the leadership in the Pentagon, and especially the deputy secretary and the undersecretary involved in acquisition, are doing some very important and overdue things in terms of shaking up the bureaucracy in the Pentagon.
But he's got this focus on the warrior ethos. I'm sure you've heard a lot of what he has announced. He summoned the generals to D.C., told them he's tired of seeing fat troops and fat generals. He wants to weigh them twice a year. He ordered a ruthless review of the Judge Advocate Corps, the military lawyers. He fired most of the inspectors general, saying he planned to overhaul the weaponized internal Pentagon watchdog. When you're talking about the things you like, would you put any of these things on that list?
No, I will say this. I mean, I fired a fair number of generals and senior people myself. The way I handled it was a little differently, in the respect that I felt that I needed to go in front of the press and explain why I had taken these actions.
Well, there's not a full Pentagon press corps even present at the Pentagon these days for a news conference like that without getting...
I mean, there is. It's just not you guys anymore, so whatever.
Special permission to be on the premises right now. He's fired 16 military officials at least.
Wow, a whole 16 of them, huh?
The Navy Secretary, the Army Chief of Staff, General Randy George.
Out of how many hundreds?
During the
thousands? I don't even know.
On war, he pushed out the Admiral at the helm of Southcom, the Chief of Naval Operations, the Air Force Vice Chief of Staff, the Head of Defense Intelligence.
Wah.
Do you see those things as necessary disruption that ultimately will have a positive impact, or does it concern you?
Well, it concerns me, but I also have to acknowledge that I don't know the rationale for those changes. I don't know why those changes were made, and there may be perfectly justifiable reasons, but I just don't know what they are.
Mm-hmm. And you think that that should be explained to the public and to the Congress?
I think that people, when you have a lot of changes like that, yeah, I think there is an obligation to explain, at a minimum, to the Congress the rationale.
Mm-hmm. The systems don't seem to be operating that way right now.
No.
Ridiculous. Deface the nation, indeed. Disgusting. Okay, what else we got here?
Ringleader of one of the state of Minnesota say this millions were stolen on.
I don't think I played this one with Amy Bach. Let's see it.
Alert also in Minnesota, the convicted ringleader of one of the state's biggest fraud schemes is speaking to Fox News from behind bars. Now, she believes that the scam was no surprise to local Democratic leaders, and she's naming names. She spoke to Alexis McAdams. Hi, Alexis.
Hey, Dana. Yeah, so everywhere you look in the state of Minnesota, right, there seems to be another fraud scam. So this one involves Amy Bach. She's a Minnesota woman convicted of fraud for taking taxpayer money that was meant to feed hungry kids. But listen to this. Bach tells me the real issue here is
is the state of Minnesota, which she says kept giving scammers your taxpayer money even after they were flagged as fraudsters.
I have to believe that the governor's office and Keith Ellison's office were aware of this. They've said they were involved in helping the FBI. They've said they were made aware, but apparently I'm scary, so they couldn't do anything.
So Bach ran this nonprofit called Feeding Our Future. You might have heard of it. It was one of dozens convicted in this $250 million scam. You can see her mugshot there. Prosecutors say this group set up sham restaurants. They pretended they were making these meals. They got paid by the state for those meals, but they just pocketed the cash. Bach, who's looking at 30 years behind bars, tells me the state signed off on those businesses, not her.
It all went through a process. They were all approved, they were all paid by the state, yet all the fingers are being pointed at me.
And it's not just Bach. Whistleblowers told a congressional committee Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison there ignored warnings for years as millions of dollars and millions were stolen on their watch. Congress is investigating a long list of massive fraud schemes in the state. It's hard to keep up. Prosecutors say it's led to at least $9 billion in fraud, Dana, and counting. Congress also asking why the Attorney General there would meet with a group of Somali fraudsters, which were under FBI investigation in 2021. The group can be heard in an audio clip given to us by Bach's lawyer offering to donate to his campaign if he can help them get their funding flowing again. Ellison denies any wrongdoing here. He slammed Bach in a statement to Fox, calling her a liar and manipulator, adding now
that's funny coming from you, Keith.
Now she's on a media tour to deflect her guilt onto others instead of finally taking responsibility.
Again, funny coming from you, Keith.
For this fraud scheme that she ran. So we reached
Boy, so many levels to that.
out to Governor Walz too, Dana. He didn't get back to us. House Republicans say it's just getting started. They want to subpoena Walz and Ellison because they say they're responsible for ripping off American taxpayers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the asteroid coming in close, man, like 50,000 miles. That's like, you could drive that. It'd take you a while, but you could do it.
A recently discovered
If it was on flat land.
asteroid is going to make its closest ever approach to Earth on Monday. Asteroid 2026 JH2 was discovered in early May by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to take our time with this one.
Dang, that thing's spinning. Woo!
It's going to pass, get this, only 56,000 miles from Earth. That's about a quarter of the distance between the Earth and the Moon.
That's close.
That's close. So let's bring in Richard...
Like scary close, actually.
Binzel, professor of planetary science at MIT. Now, given how recently discovered this asteroid is, there's a high uncertainty about its exact orbit. But hey, want to ask you a real quick question, Richard, just right off the top for you. How do we know that this is not going to be a threat to planet Earth?
Well, as we saw with the recent Artemis mission, you know, we can track orbital precision with great accuracy. You know, we did a pinpoint landing of the Artemis spacecraft in the Pacific Ocean. It's the same orbital physics that we use when we discover an asteroid to plot its trajectory. And so we know with great precision that this is going to safely pass the Earth. And I always say it 3 times, it will safely pass the Earth, safely pass the Earth, safely pass the Earth.
It's wild to think of the math and science that just goes into something like that when you make it seem like it's so simple. But you're also a leader in your field, and you invented the Torino scale. So that categorizes the impact hazards associated with near-Earth objects. Can you go into detail about that, and what does threat assessment look like for asteroids?
Yeah, so on the Torino scale, this object is a 0 because it has 0 chance of hitting the Earth, and it's also too small to have any particular consequence to us here on Earth. asteroids are things that we've been discovering and tracking for centuries, in fact. But the near-Earth asteroids that come near the Earth, we've known about for decades. We actually know about several thousand of these that come close to the Earth. They pass harmlessly by almost all the time. Maybe once every few decades, we get something like landed over Chelyabinsk, Russia, back in 2013. But most of the time when these things come through the atmosphere, they break apart. We get a few meteorites, and then, of course, most of them fall into the ocean.
And Professor, you mentioned that this is a small asteroid. I'm curious, could you give us a
small, it's a small asteroid. It's so small.
Reference point on how small it was, and then how and where can people, like, can we see the asteroid perhaps with our naked eye, or do
I'm gonna go with no on that.
we need like a telescope?
I'm gonna go with no on those.
First, you definitely need a telescope to see this. I think there'll be some online telescope communities that will share it online. The object is about the size of a school bus, or maybe a couple school buses.
Oh, wow, that's small.
Imagine putting a big boulder in a parking lot and fitting one or two school buses in front of it. You know, it's kind of big as you stand there and look at it, but on a cosmic scale, it's
tiny.
Yeah, just a tiny speck.
What is this? This is probably worth checking out. I haven't watched it yet, but let's see it. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei.
So we talked 3 years ago. I'm curious, in your view, what has been the biggest update of the last 3 years? What has been the biggest difference between what it felt like last 3 years versus now?
Yeah, I would say actually the underlying technology, like the exponential of the technology, has gone, broadly speaking, I would say, about as I expected it to go. I mean, there's like plus or minus, a couple. There's plus or minus a year or two here. There's plus or minus a year or two there. I don't know that I would have predicted the specific direction of code, but actually, when I look at the exponential, it is roughly what I expected in terms of the march of the models from smart high school student to smart college student to beginning to do PhD and professional stuff. And in the case of code, reaching beyond that. So, the frontier is a little bit uneven. It's roughly what I expected. I will tell you, though, what the most surprising thing has been. The most surprising thing has been the lack of public recognition of how close we are to the end of the exponential. To me, it is absolutely wild that, you have people, within the bubble and outside the bubble, but you have people talking about these.
God, he's so weird.
These, just the same tired old hot button political issues and
that's true.
Around us, we're
yeah, there's crazy, the ground is literally shifting under everyone's feet and no one seems to realize it. It's, he creeps me the hell out, but he's not wrong about that. It is kind of weird.
Near the end of the exponential.
I want to understand what that exponential looks like right now, because the first question
people are just continuing to obsess over the same tired political issues when something seriously massive is happening everywhere, just under the surface.
Asked you when we recorded 3 years ago was, what's up with scaling? Why does it work?
And people are losing out because of that, by the way. All the people who are continuing to obsess over the same tired bullshit and not figuring out how they're going to keep their footing over the next 5 years or so are going to be in a really bad spot, because this is going to sneak up on them really quickly. And by the time people snap the hell out of it and realize it, I mean, you're gonna be in a shit spot, man. You're gonna be trying to figure out how to keep your head above water while all the other people who paid attention are off to the races, swimming.
I have a similar question now, but I feel like it's a more complicated question because, at least from the public's point of view,
yes,
3 years ago there were these well-known public trends where across many orders of magnitude of compute, you could see how the loss improves. And now we have RL scaling, and there's no publicly known scaling law for it. It's not even clear what exactly the story is of, is this supposed to be teaching the model skills? Is it supposed to be teaching meta learning? What is the scaling hypothesis at this point?
Yeah, so I have actually the same hypothesis that I had even all the way back in 2017. So in 2017, I think I talked about it last time, but I wrote a doc called the big blob of compute hypothesis. And it wasn't about the scaling of language models in particular. When I wrote it, GPT-1 had just come out, right? So that was, one among many things, right? There was, back in those days, there was robotics.
It's been almost 10 years since GPT-1.
Tried to work on reasoning as a separate thing from language models. There was scaling of the kind of RL that happened, that kind of happened in AlphaGo, and that happened at Dota at OpenAI, and people remember StarCraft at DeepMind, the Alpha Star. So it was written as a more general document, and the specific thing I said was the following.
I remember StarCraft in my bedroom when I was like 15 on my shitty old PC.
Following that,
one of my favorite video games of all time. Love StarCraft.
And it's very Rich Sutton put out the.
But StarCraft, the video game, was apparently used to train AI back whenever he's talking about here. StarCraft is like a not turn-based, real-time strategy game where you kind of like build up an army and attack other people's armies and bases and try to defend against the same, that kind of thing. Great both short-term and long-term thinking and planning, that kind of stuff. Games that can last, between 1 and 10 plus hours in some cases. Yeah, they use that to train a lot of these early, and a bunch of other video games too. Atari video games.
A bit or less than a couple years later, but the hypothesis is basically the same. So what it says is all the cleverness, all the techniques, all the kind of we need a new method to do something like that doesn't matter very much. There are only a few things that matter, and I think I listed 7 of them. One is like how much raw compute you have. The other is the quantity of data that you have. Then the third is kind of the quality and distribution of data, right? It needs to be a broad distribution of data. The fourth is, I think, how long you train for. The fifth is you need an objective function that can scale to the moon. So the pre-training objective function is one such objective function, right? Another objective function is, the kind of RL objective function that says, like, you have a goal, you're going to go out and reach the goal. Within that, of course, there's objective rewards, like you see in math and coding, and there's more subjective rewards like you see in RL from human feedback, or kind of higher order versions of that. And then the 6th and 7th were things around kind of like normalization or conditioning, like, just getting the numerical stability so that kind of the big blob of compute flows in this laminar way instead of running into problems. So that was the hypothesis, and it's a hypothesis I still hold. I don't think I've seen very much that is not in line with that hypothesis. And so the pre-training scaling laws were one example of kind of what we see there. And indeed, those have continued going. Like, I think now it's been widely reported, like, we feel good about pre-training. Like, pre-training is continuing to give us gains. What has
Okay, this is getting into very technical and boring shit. Come on, Dario.
Pre-training scaling. Text
technical,
that you get,
boring.
and trained over all the things. Don't
Technical,
see true
boring.
evolution. Our brain isn't just a blank slate, right? Whole books have.
Okay. Boring. Come back here. Where'd you go? Oh, this was nuts. Yeah, the bees. Massive swarm of bees descends on White House press corps. Like massive. Like nightmare Nightmare fuel, massive.
Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, there's a bee tornado happening here at the White House.
A bee-nado.
Y'all. It goes on, I guess. We have some photographers capturing it. I saw the same thing happen in Philly the other day. Are they just like...
No, thank you. Oh yeah, Tina Peters getting her sentence commuted. Yeah,
for
big news.
Being here, a lot of people might look at this and say Tina Peters was convicted by a jury of her peers in a conservative-leaning county, no less. Why did you decide to commute her sentence?
Because Trump pressured him.
I have to start, Caitlin, by correcting just one thing in the lead-in. She did not commit any crimes regarding the
Yeah, it had nothing to do with 2020
elections. She certified President Biden won. This was after the 2021. It was a small municipal election in the town. The results were counted, no ballots were compromised, but she went in and illegally tried to copy software before an update came. So nothing to do with President Trump's election. Just wanted to make that clear. Look, what the appeals court found, and what I agree, is that fundamentally she deserves time, and she committed 4 felonies. Those are going to stay on her record. We're continuing to fight the president's bogus attempt to pardon her in court. But the truth of the matter is that her speech, meaning her conspiratorial beliefs and what she believes in, are certainly an anathema to me and most of your viewers, and I strongly disagree with. But those are not the basis and should not be the basis for a longer sentence than somebody would normally get for this crime. And that's
he's not wrong about that.
really what the sentence reduction is all about.
Just the bare minimum, but still something. Okay, anything else in there? Nope, we did that. Let's see what else we got cooking here. Besson just walked out of G7 for a group photo after telling our allies to step it up and help economically devastate Iran. He's out of G7, I guess. Oh. Ugh. Dang it. Sorry, gotta sign up for that. Oh, here we go. Developments in the Mangione case.
One last time so that we're all on the same page here. What is in and what is out?
Yeah, we have more clarification now on what is in and what is out. What is out, what the jury will not learn about, the bullet magazine. That's the magazine that full of bullets that Officer Christy Wasser found wrapped in wet underwear, because that was found in the backpack at McDonald's. The backpack was 9 feet away at another table, placed there by a police officer. Therefore, Judge Carroll found that was not in the control of Mangione, and that was an illegal search because there was no search warrant at that time for that backpack. The cell phone that he had, his passport, his
wow, so that's all out?
Wallet, and a computer chip that
yeah, they fucked that up so big, like massively. It was obvious from the get-go that this was probably going to happen.
Christy Wasser, police officer Wasser, found at the McDonald's. She then takes the backpack, an 11-minute or so ride to the police station. He's arrested. They start going through the backpack. She finds the gun. She finds a diary. That will be allowed in. The red diary will be allowed in, and the weapon will be allowed in. The judge in his ruling points out that the diary was opened, that police officers, for inventory purposes, photographed every page of the diary as they took that in. So obviously the judge has ruled that was a legal search at the police station, which include those items. So that's why we're basically saying, I think Jonathan Turley is right. It's kind of a half victory, half win. Something's out, but most importantly, it appears now that the diary will be allowed in, and the weapon, the 9mm gun that police say was used to kill Brian Thompson, will be allowed in.
Okay. Whoa. World War II era seaplane just pulled off an insane emergency landing right in the middle of Phoenix, Arizona, middle of a city street. Oh my God. Oh! Whoa! See that freaking traffic light pole? All those freaking wires everywhere? My God. Oh, jeez. Oh my God. Nice. Should be salvageable too. Should be fine. Little bend in the, see that? Little bend in the frame there, but can probably buff that out. It'll be all right. Okay. Oh, Senate considering impeachment of Boasberg this week.
Boasberg and Deborah Boardman both turning down requests to testify at a Senate hearing this week entitled Impeachment, Holding Rogue Judges Accountable. Boasberg, whose series of judgments regarding the Trump administration have ignited a legal firestorm, including his decision to restrict the White House's use of the Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelans. There have also been questions about his apparent role in Arctic Frost, that FBI investigation that allegedly tracked the private communications and phone calls of nearly a dozen Republican lawmakers. As for Boardman, well, no stranger to controversy after ruling against the administration's effort to restrict birthright citizenship. So the question is, where do things go from here? And we want to discuss all that with another great legal eagle, Boasberg and Deborah Boardman.
Oh. Trump Education Secretary Linda McMahon just found out that dead people were getting student loans from the federal government.
I'm really proud of one of the things that we've done, and that is we've just really totally revamped the FAFSA program, which is the applications that students fill out, for student aid as they're going to college. But as like many things in the government, we found that there was a lot of fraud going on, that there were bots that were applying for these loans, there were ghost students, there were dead people who were getting these loans, etc. And so we really did enforce and tweak this entire system so that we have this real-time fraud identity now. And it's as simple as showing an ID online to show who you are when you're applying for these loans. And last year we kept $1 billion of fraud money from going out. And just in the first 2 weeks of revamping this program this year, we've saved about $60 million. So it's very effective, and I'm very pleased that we are going to be able to save taxpayers billions of dollars with this identity program. I'm really proud of one of the things that we've done, and that is we've just really totally revamped the FAFSA.
Okay.
Teenagers.
Oh, geez.
Texas shakes down this way. Police there have arrested 3 teenagers after a weekend shooting spree that left 4 people injured. Police say the suspects targeted apartment complexes and houses and 2 fire stations. In total, there were 12 separate drive-by shootings between Saturday night and Sunday morning.
These are occurring primarily in South Austin, and we don't have any specific motive that has been identified. In fact, these actions appear to be random.
Okay, so that notwithstanding, officials say there are no more threats to the public. If that's the case, that should be good news, right?
Okay, we hope.
Yes, indeed. Texas shakes down this way. Police there have arrested 3 teenagers after a weekend shooting spree that left 4 people.
Okay.
There are, it's tough to say what is the best allocation of time. I mean, there are, often say, if you look at, say, Tesla, Tesla this year will do over $100 billion in revenue. So that's $2 billion a week.
Jeez. Outrageous. All right.
That took place.
Old.
Arrow says that search.
Saw that. Elon Omar.
I have to.
That's Amy Bach. We saw that.
That's not something the DOJ needs to tell you about. There's a ton of evidence that the election was rigged. That's not something the DOJ needs to tell you about. There's been evidence about that for many, many years. What I can tell you is that we have multiple investigations going on in Arizona, in Georgia, and Fulton
Arizona
County, Georgia, and that's exactly what we're looking at. By the way, this is very difficult because they're very good. They're very good at hiding up misconduct and hiding what they're doing, and so that's why we're very focused on finding out whether the right people voted, whether people who were supposed to vote voted, whether there was 1 vote cast per voter, and that's what we're doing in multiple states. And I expect, and again, people, you'll say to me, how long is it taking? Why is it taking so long? And the reality, the answer to that is because it takes a lot of work to uncover what happened in 2020. It takes a lot of old, good old-fashioned law enforcement police work, which is what we're doing, and we have great prosecutors working on it as well. And I expect that, and I assure the American people that as soon as we have something to say for it, whether it's charges, whether it's a report, whether it's the results of an investigation, the American people will learn about what we've uncovered.
Yeah.
It's coming, man. Ooh, Grok build testing continues. Same prompt, different results. Let's see, how's it doing? What was the prompt, man? Create a futuristic airplane simulator in 3JS in a single HTML file. Huh, not too bad. Wee! I mean, this one's kind of shit. Can't even tell where... Am I inside the plane? What? I don't even know. This one's not bad, though. Crazy, you can just have a program just code that up for you from scratch. Like that, with a paragraph long prompt. Not too shabby, man. To start. Okay.
Comey,
Saw that. What do we got here? More on Boasberg we saw. bike thief.
Damn.
Yeah. You don't steal someone's bike, man. Fuck that. Oh, he got him good, too. Piece of shit.
Yeah. Oh, they're stealing that guy's scooter now?
Oh my, he tried to steal this bro's scooter?
Oh, cops are gonna get him. Special constable.
Unreal. Oh, God. All right, here's... Oh. That's old. Okay, well, we're kind of winding down here. If anyone wants to toss anything in the hat, still need it. Desperately. Badly. Very badly. Let me bring up the donor box. Yeah, we had our quarterlies hit, and we're rough. I'll tell you exactly how bad, but it's not good. It's probably less than $100 in the PSB account at this point. Yeah, $70. We got $70 left. So, like, dire straits, badly. And I can't throw anything in myself until I get paid, which I am really not sure when that's going to happen exactly, because this is the first time I've worked for this company before. I have no idea how long they take. It's supposed to be 30 days, but we'll see. No telling. So if you want us to stay up, please, we need the help. Please throw something in the hat. We can keep going. Let me pop that into YouTube too. And throw up. I'll put my personal PayPal there too. Just in case you want to throw anything to me. Okay. Oh, thank you, Half Right. Half Right threw in $1. I appreciate that. I do. Okay. Let's keep going here. Oh, yeah, that thing's pretty wild. The silver swan automaton. 250 years old.
A clockwork automaton. Parts of it are the work of a genius. A Belgian inventor by the name of John Joseph Merlin. 3 clockwork motors, 141 glass rods, fusee, mainspring, 113 silver neck rings. If one stops, they all stop. 3 fine chains like vertebrae in the neck.
Wow.
Almost lifelike. Silver and bronze fish swimming in a flowing stream.
So cool. The stream with the strands of...
This is one of the 2 or 3 remaining articulated silver fish.
Oh, wow.
If we look on this side, you can see that, again, this one has got a little rub-over set ruby eye, which is really nice. So, quite a character.
A silver body, silver feathers. Catching a fish in its beak. An amazing trick.
Look at that.
So we oiled the water mechanism and we've oiled the glass rod bearings and we're going to give it a bit of a wind.
I want to see it working. Wow, cool. Interesting.
Almost 250 years old. Still magical.
What the heck? It's so neat.
Mr. Bowes left precise instructions for mounting the Silver Swan.
Wow, look at that. Ah, why did they cut it off there, man? Getting to the best part. Love that stuff. All right.
An AI stack, he's the guy that coined the term.
Oh, interesting. Google's releasing a new model here. Great.
In part for Luigi. A victory in part for Luigi Mangione. Judge Gregory Carroll ruling just a few moments ago, issuing his written ruling that some of the items that police found in Mangione's backpack will be suppressed. In other words, the jury, when the state trial starts, expected in September, will not learn about some of those items that apparently does not, though, include the gun. Here's how it went down. The police got a phone call. They believe that the suspect in the shooting of Brian Thompson was sitting in McDonald's. They show up at the McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, start talking to him. He has his backpack, and one officer moves it with his foot away from him. Another officer then places the backpack 9 feet away on a table. That's when Altoona police officer Christy Wasser starts rummaging through it. She at one point said she thought there could be a bomb, and that's when Mangione was then talked to and placed into handcuffs. Well, Judge Caro says that that search was illegal. He apparently, in his ruling, says that that was not proper because there wasn't a search warrant at that time. So he has ruled that the items found in the backpack at the McDonald's will not be included in the trial. And those include the bullet magazine, a magazine full of bullets that Officer Wasser found, as well as a journal, a cell phone, well, a passport, a chip. So it's the bullet magazine, his cell phone, his passport, his wallet, and a computer chip will not be allowed into evidence. What then happened was Wasser turned off the body camera, drove 11 minutes to the police station, and that's when Mangione was processed. And as part of that inventory, Officer Wasser found the gun, a handmade 9mm weapon. Apparently, under this ruling, that will be allowed to be in the trial. That the gun, the weapon that police say was used to kill Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO, will be allowed into evidence. But what is not being allowed is, as I've said, the magazine full of bullets, as well as some of the other items that Mangione had. It was a fascinating suppression hearing that went on for about 2 weeks here, as the defense has gone through every point with like a toothpick, challenging every single step that police officers made, arguing that when they were talking to Mangione at the McDonald's, that it was illegal. They did not have a search warrant. Under the law, they pointed out that if you can grab something Police have the right to go through it so that they don't want you to lunge at something and grab a gun or something. But if it is not in your control, then they don't have a right to go through it unless they have a search warrant. And Judge Carroll ruled that because the backpack was moved 9 feet away from Mangione, it was placed on a table. That meant that the backpack was not effectively in Mangione's control. So because he did not have control over the...
Oops. Oh, well. Suppose that about does it anyway, so let me pop my share off here. Sir Fedora is in. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good, actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Got a little storm going around here. I had some lightning pretty close, but I think it's kind of on the backside. So
cool.
Hopefully, if you're around monitoring, that'd be good. But we're good. I think I'm good now.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll be around the house in case something happens. So.
All right.
Yep. Just let me know.
Okay.
Yep. Have a good show, man.
You have a great day.
I surely will. I'll see y'all later.
Hey, everyone. How's it going?
All right, YouTube. That's it for me. I'm out. I got stuff to go get to. I'll be back tomorrow evening. I will see you then, okay? Bye-bye. Have a good night, guys. Or good day, rather.